Good evening, President Dodd, Dr. Kimberly, and members of the Governing Board. Thank you for the opportunity to present the third part of our 2020-2021 Student Population Projections Report. This is the third of a four-part series based on our projections reports from Davis Demographics. This report will focus on student yield factor projections, methodology, and new housing developments, enrollment projections for 6th through 8th grade, and the presentation will conclude with key findings and the opportunity for questions. The overall projections methodology relies on combining current and historic student data with the investigation on birth rates to predict kindergarten enrollment, student mobility for retention of students cohort grade level to grade level year, and student yield factors to better understand the influence new housing developments will have on future enrollment numbers. This presentation takes a deeper look into the student yield factors. To better understand how student yield factors influence projections, it's important to first understand our district is divided into 775 separate study areas. The study areas are formed in correlation to population density, then grouped for each school's boundary area. Housing within each study area is a function of a mathematical model used to develop the overall projections report. Study areas of larger landmass may be divided in the future into smaller sections as new housing developments are planned and built. Let's take a look at our student yield factors and generation rates. This chart details the estimated number of students that will be generated by each new housing unit development within a study area. Grade spans are delineated for the student yield factors for both single-family and multiple-family housing. This map shows the locations of the 22 planned housing developments known to us at the time our demographers created this report. As an illustration of how student yield factors are used to estimate the number of students a new development will produce in the future, let's take a look at Nichols Ranch development. Nichols Ranch development is planned for a 186 single-family detached homes. Located just east of the 15 freeway off the Nichols Road exit, Nichols Ranch is currently in the grading phase of construction. This development includes new housing, general commercial space, recreational park spaces, and a floodway drainage basin area. Using our student factor chart for the 186 planned single-family detached homes, our projection report estimates the development will typically produce 38 new K-5 students, 20 new 6th to 8th grade students, and 23 new high school students. That's a total of a projected 81 new students into our district from a 186 housing unit development. Once the number of planned housing units is known for any future development, the student yield factors are applied with the data added into the projections report. Now let's take a look at our middle school students' enrollment projections. As a refresher, here's our middle school and K-8 boundaries that house our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students. Please note that 6th graders also attend Ronald Reagan and Donald Graham elementary schools and are reflected in this part of the projections report. Now let's take a look at the overall historic middle school student enrollment in graph form. This graph represents student enrollment for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students district-wide. The solid blue line is actual enrollment numbers. Student enrollment at CBEDS in the 2019-2020 school year was at 5,027. Enrollment was already projected to see a decline to 4,815 according to our 2019-2020 projection report as represented by the gray dashed line. This was somewhat anticipated due to the end of an enrollment bubble cohort of students making their way through middle school into high school. Our actual enrollment at CBEDS in October declined to 4,734 students with projections along the orange dashed line out to the 27-28 school year. The gap between enrollment we expected to see along the gray line and our projected enrollment along the orange line is pronounced. Students have been lost to many factors in our COVID reality, including movement into private or charter school placements, change of residency to other districts or states, and other social economic reasons. For part 3 of the overall projections report, here are the key findings. Student enrollment for 6th to 8th grade are projected to decline about 753 students in the next 7 years. That's a 16% overall decline, the most of any school level in our projections. Long-term student enrollment, driven by new housing developments, remains unclear. If economic recovery is realized over the next couple of years, more new developments may be seen. Of note, new housing developments are producing more middle school and high school age students than elementary schools due to new housing prices ranging that attract a more established home buyer over first-time buyers. Thank you for your attention. I'm happy to take any questions you may now have. The next and final part of this report will focus on high school student enrollment projections.